So, Gary, nearly 3 months ago was when pre-season started. How have you seen it go since then?
Well, it's nearly 3 months, as you just said, Seb. I think we were back in, weren't we, on that 7th of July? You know, we'd been away from football since the middle of March. It felt like a lifetime since we'd seen each other, and we was just so pleased to be back and amongst each other. But 3 months on, and we're still waiting to kick our first competitive ball, and it's that's a little bit concerning. We try to make pre-season as competitive and as drawn out as we can. But when you put it into the context of the time scale, it feels like the longest pre-season ever. As I mentioned, the weekend we put plenty of games in there because we felt the players had such a long period out that we needed to sharpen them up in all areas, and the more minutes we could give them, the better they would be for it. And I think you've seen a gradual progression in their performances, in their sharpness, in terms of their fitness. And I think that was epitomised in Saturday's performance against Woking, that we want to be coming to the peak of our powers at just the right time. And I felt that performance just about did that. So, of course, we've not had competitive games yet, but for National League opposition do tend to, challenge you. And, I think it's been a really positive pre-season. We've only picked up a couple of injuries. And when you look at the very top end, suffering from the injuries that they are, you hear Mourinho moaning about it, and Klopp and Pep saying that they're not machines. And it's no different for us. We're doing 40 or 50 hour work weeks with in and around our football. So it's demanding for the players, and for us to only have picked up a couple of injuries at this stage and be going into the start of the season with 2 injuries and 1 illness, it puts a lot of value in Mark Finley and the level of fitness and the build up to their fitness into the spotlight. And can't speak highly enough of Mark. I think he's such a valued member of my team, and he's played a big part in the preparation of that. Put quite a bit of demand on him, and we've worked very closely together, putting together every fine detail we can in terms of the fitness and the sharpness and the strength and the prevention of injuries. And here we are now, in really good shape.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, I've seen, again, just from an outside perspective, so to speak, but seeing the great work that Mark has done, and obviously the players as well. How impressed have you been with the way they've come back to pre-season, and also, dealt with the demands of pre-season? Because, like you said, it's been demanding, hasn't it?
It has, but we've had to make it demanding. I mean, it was nearly double, maybe treble the time out that they've had, hence why we've done that summer camp, just to blow away the cobwebs as such and get them up and running. We felt it was too long a period out. We've seen the benefits of them 3 weeks in our pre-season campaign. I think it's definitely been a process, and I think that's had to be really well planned out. But I think the players have really come back with a steely determination. You can see that in them, Seb. I think there's a togetherness that was there from the minute they walked back into the building. We've added, for me, the right 3 or 4 individuals that are really, sort of compounded the strength, and really, it's a group of players that I'm really excited about. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the season maps out. I'm so desperate for the season to start. When the news come out, last week, going into the weekend, that it was pretty positive, and it looks like we're going to get started maybe without the most important part of a non-league football club, which is the fans. But from a selfish perspective on the pitch, which I never normally am, we needed this season to start, because my worry and concerns that we had with players that are reliant on some football money, going into a season without no pay and maybe no football, we may have seen the team dismantled and go and play their football at level 3 and below. And that was, I had numerous phone calls on Friday, Seb, requesting that possibility. 5 or 6 different managers that felt if we weren't going to start, could they jump on some of our players? Where that takes us, who knows? So to start the season, as I've just said, selfishly, it's a good thing. I just wish it was with that 600 fans that we was all geared up for from the 1st of October. But we can only, as I've said in recent interviews, control the controllables, and the virus is still about. It's it's had a spike, and we have to obviously respect the government's wishes, and hopefully, as I just said, get some football played and get the fans back in as quickly as we possibly can.
And yeah, you mentioned the 3 or 4 players, or the additions to already a good squad, and a lot of the players from last year. What do you think they add to an already very good squad?
Experience. If you look at the players that we've signed, in Christian Smith, I think he definitely adds a physical aspect to our midfield. He also complements our back four. I think you've seen that I've used him in both positions this pre-season. He can play in the heart of our defence, or he can play in that deep line midfield position. But in both boxes, he will be invaluable. But his experience and his general demeanour around the camp, he's a winner. He's won things, so I do expect him to be a very, very good addition to the group. Hence why I was desperate to get him over the line and done. You look at the other additions we've made in the the front end of the pitch. I think Nathan Minas and Danny Bassett are untried and untested at the level, but I'm always looking to unearth one that's that's going to prove to be a good addition and a little star as such. And I do believe in both of them players. They've shown the potential and the qualities to warrant being part of the squad initially. It will be a process with them, a gradual process, but I do expect them to play a big part in the season. I think they both have different qualities and they both complement what we've already got in the final third. And on top of that, Rennie Steer's experience in the left back position was again something we highlighted when we come back in the summer camp. We did honestly believe in Rue Donaldson and Kyron Farrell. We had that position locked down, but for different reasons, Kyron hasn't come back in the best shape, and he'll be the first to admit that. He's had a few problems off the pitch that he's had to deal with, and that's been quite well documented, within the changing room, and we've spoken, in very fine detail with him and what the requirements are and what the expectations are of him, and he needs to shift some weight. I think that's clear to see. He's bulked up in the wrong areas, and if he's going to play in that position, his fitness levels need to be better as well. So he's been working to get himself up and to the level that's required, but we've had to make sure we're protected in that position, hence why we signed Rennie Steer. So it gives us 2 really good left backs. We do look to see Rue in a slightly higher position up the field, which he finished last season doing, but it's maybe one too many there, but it does create good competition. So it's up to Kai to get himself up and running and get himself fit and put Rennie under some pressure in the coming weeks to grab back his jersey. And over and above that, we've obviously got the addition of the new goalkeeper, the trialist, as we've called him, Seb, over the course of the pre-season. It's been, a topic of conversation, a topic of chuckles from the terraces. But there's been, legal reasons that we've had to be a bit cute with that. Alan Julian, as I can now announce the trialist has signed and will be part of our campaign for the coming season. He brings a wealth of experience. He's a top goalkeeper, but also a top person. I'm a firm believer, and I've said it to you before, that you don't just sign good players, you sign good people, because that creates an environment in your change room that everyone wants to be in and wants to be part of, and he definitely ticks those boxes. He's been outstanding in pre-season. He's maybe had 1 or 2 little, bumps on the road, but that's what pre-season's about. In a goalkeeper's position, when you've had 6 or 7 months out, it's getting your eye in and getting your distances right. I think is it's again been a process for him, but he'll definitely add to that area of the pitch, and he's very familiar with Dean Inman. He's very familiar with Charlie Wassemer, and he creates a really good spine to the team. When you look at a Julian, a Wassemer, a Ruddock, an Inman, a Smith, a Muir, and then you add the quality of Deadfields and Grays and the experience of Cox and Tyrell Miller-Rodney, who I still think there's a good season in him to be had as well. We've really got a good spine, and it really gives us a good base to build from, and that's the recipe to any successful team is to get that area of the pitch right. I think we've done that.
Yeah, exactly. And just one of those, you mentioned one of the additions there in Nico Muir. For those people that haven't been fortunate enough or lucky enough to come to the recent games, he's playing he's certainly played pre-season in a more like number 10 role, and he's really revelled in it. And is that something you're looking to do longer term?
Well, I think when we had him at Hendon, we played him in both positions. In the running, we felt we needed his quality in the 10, so we made some adjustments in our front four and ended up playing him in the 10 for the last 10 weeks of the season, and he was excellent in there, scored goals. He'd gone through a period, believe it or not, he scored 41 goals that season, and I think he went about 8 games without a goal in the 9, and you could see the pressure and tension in his game, which from scoring so many goals to going through a period with none, I could just feel it in him, and it was just a conscious decision on my part. Drop back in, put the emphasis on someone else right up on the focal point, and he started scoring again. Some would say a masterstroke, but I'd say it was just looking after your players. But he can play that position, Seb. In Bassett, in Leithwaite, who hasn't got up and running, and he's got it all to do. Seb, he's in a vulnerable position. I'm not shy in saying that. But in Leithwaite, Bassett and Muir and Minhas, we've got 3 players that can all play in the 9 there, and Nico can play in the 9 and the 10. I'm not convinced the other 3 in question are as comfortable as Muir and in the 10, Nico. So we've looked at that. If you look at how we set up Saturday, we set up with Muir in the 9 and went with 2 central midfielders very advanced and close to him, which I felt created a real energy and a real tempo and a real purpose in that front end of the pitch. You can see how we want to play. We've got an identity to our team now. What we must make sure we do, because Nico has that tendency, even when he's in the 9, to drop in and link and get on the half turn and drop into little pockets. He's very, very clever and looks after the ball brilliantly, and he's got a good range of passing, and his vision is good. We've got to make sure we have forward runners, and in Gray and Deadfield and Hill and Donaldson, in the wide areas, there's lots of legs, lots of pace, lots of energy, can all go beyond Nico when required, and it's something we've looked at, and it's something we've worked on in training in different combinations and different patterns, and you've seen it come into practice in games. So we've got to have variation and a bit of flexibility in our squad, and that's what we've tried to do in all of the pre-season games. Look at different combinations, different patterns, different variations, and I think you can see in most games we've got it right. There's only been 1 or 2 bumps in the pre-season schedule, and it's been really positive.
Yeah, and one player we probably should mention, the top goal scorer in pre-season and looking very sharp. And we've obviously had, we've spoken about Ryan a lot over the 18 months or so, and the progression that he's made in those 18 months. Obviously, as always, there's always stuff that he can do, but you must be pretty happy with where he's looking at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I take great satisfaction myself and my management team in where he finds himself, because when he come through the door, he was a little spiky teenager that had plenty to say, wanted to do plenty on the ball, not enough off of it. We made it clear to him working off the ball was the necessity to get him on the ball, and players seem to forget that, working yourself back into areas and helping the team out sometimes in transition sees you land on the ball a lot more than maybe you would if you stay high and wide. And he was the focal point verbally over the course of the first 12, 18 months he was with us, and he'll know that.
And he's admitted that as well.
Yeah, he has. And it's been a process with him. He's understood that it was for the right reasons. If he was a player that was shut off, I think he's a wonderful lad. He's someone off the pitch that I really enjoy being around, enjoy working with. He still has his moments, both in training and in games, but that spikiness is what you want to be working with. It's just channeling it into the right areas, reining it in where required, and it gets the end product to where he's at now. He's definitely had a fantastic pre-season. He'll be the first to admit that I'm on his case to say, right, now transfer that to competitive games. It's a pick up from where he was at. at the end of last season, he started scoring and started assisting and starting to see the true qualities in his game that we as a management team see from day dot. We see the faults and we see the areas that he needed to improve. He didn't as quickly as us did, but he's definitely bought into what we require. I remember having him in the office 2 or 3 times in his first sort of 12, 18 months with us, and most of the time not positive, to give him a stern talking to, but also telling him he's in here because we care. The minute I stop pulling him in the office and stop, lambasting him for misdemeanors and such like, is the day that we don't see the value of him as a player and the trust in him as a player. So here we are now. He's a player that I'm sure is geared for bigger things. He's very focused and dedicated to making sure we have a positive start and get moving. I'd like to think by this time next year, we'd have sold him and, be in the Football League. I think my own opinion, he's too good for the National League. And that's my own opinion of where he's at the moment. I think he'll bypass the National. I did say I felt if Danilo had stayed with us for another 6 to 12 months, he would have bypassed the National League. I can't, comment if that's going to happen in his time at Maidenhead, because they have different, way of playing. They have different outlooks of, way football should be played, and that may not benefit Danilo, but I honestly felt I'd have moved him into the Football League if he'd have stayed with us, and I do believe that's the case with Ryan. If he starts how he finished and he carries on from where he's been at in pre-season, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people on the end of the phone, and myself and Jackson have a decision to make. But at current, he's focused on on doing well for us. We're focused on doing well for him, because it's two-way like it always is, and I'm looking forward to seeing him come Saturday and part of what we're looking to do.
Yeah, and we'll talk about one player that we haven't seen too much of in pre-season, unfortunately, was obviously Luke Ruddock, and I was obviously there early on in the pre-season, and that he was looking really sharp, and even himself admitted to me, or we did an interview him, and he basically said that he was as fit as he has been for a long time, and unfortunately he's been beset by illness. It's a shame, isn't it, that we haven't got him at the moment.
I'm really upset for him. I think there's different moments in pre-season that injuries and different bits that are unavoidable. It's part and parcel of pre-season. But Luke's situation is a different one for me, a peculiar one for me, because he come back in unbelievable shape, Seb. The best shape he's been in since the age of 20, 21 years old. He said that he knew he had to, because I told him he hadn't played enough minutes last season, and he come in not in the best shape last pre-season, and it played its part in his downfall most of the season. So he come back in, as I say, great condition. His body weight and body composition, fat composition was great. His fitness levels were good. He'd really pushed himself, but what he maybe done was push himself too far, because what he's created a condition in his body where, there's maybe not been enough sugar and there's not been enough, energy, enough fuel in the tank, and it's created something that's, derailed him. He's working with physicians at the moment, and Mark has, put him in touch with a couple, and he's taking advice at the moment, but he keeps, having blackouts and, and he's got no energy. He keeps having, terrible headaches, migraine headaches that sort of, debilitate him, and it's, he just can't. He hasn't for the last 4 weeks been able to participate in anything we've done. And he's, you can imagine the frustration in him and the disappointment in him. He's an emotionally charged skipper. He's a great captain, and and I was really looking forward to having him out on the field. So it's one of them that's, again, we spoke a process a few times, and he's a process that we've just got to be patient with. We're hoping to have him back soon. We've got to get him healthy before we can get him fit. We're hoping to see his face around the Beverley, even if, it's only going to be in a watching capacity at the moment. But the sooner we can get him out on the pitch, the better we are for it, because, as I've just said, he's a true leader, and he's a respected individual in the change room, and he's a respected individual off the pitch as well. So we wish him well in his recovery, and we'll work as closely with him and do as much as we can to get him back up and running.
Yeah, and obviously with his injury and Sam Cox injury as well, it's given an opportunity for someone like Imran Uche. Just for those again who probably haven't seen as much of him as we would have liked, because obviously having the fans night in the ground. How impressed have you been with his progression?
Yeah, he's been in. This is the third pre-season he's come in with us. Said when we took over, he was here. He didn't feel comfortable or didn't feel confident that he was going to get the game time, and he was advised from outside influences to go and get his football elsewhere, which I didn't think was the correct decision at the time. He then come back in again last pre-season and come to the same conclusion, which again was outside influences. I'll say no more in that regards. And again, I didn't agree with that. But this year, he'd obviously been at Bedfont. He'd been somewhere where we're familiar with. I'd spoke to Jono about him over the course of, the season. And, Jono had made us quite aware there was one or two flaws still in his game, but he'd played most games with Jono. So it must have been the fact that he was doing okay. And, he was always in contact with Steve, who was obviously his academy manager. And Steve's always shown a really good, been a good foil for him and advised him when he can, and he asked could he come back in with us for a third time, and I said in no uncertain terms if he was coming back in there needed to be a level of commitment from him, and again we use the word process again, enjoy the process and see where it takes him, be confident in his own ability. He would be given as many opportunities as anyone else, which has been proved to be the case. I told him no lies, and here we are. He's played 75 minutes on 65 minutes, 70 minutes on Tuesday, and he's played a good proportion of Saturday's game as well. So he's put himself into contention with the injuries to Cox, to Miller Rodney and to Ruddock, obviously being suspended and unwell. That right back position is still a berth up for grabs, and we made that clear to him 2 or 3 games ago, and he's done himself no harm. He brings a physical presence to the back four for sure. His height and physique is needed at our level. But he's also very mobile and very quick. He's got to sharpen up his concentration. He has little lapses like academy players do, and if he's going to play at our level, then them lapses will be punished. And he's got to, as I say, he's got to take stock of that, and we are consciously working with that. It's up to us as a management team to do that. But he's a good product to the youth team. He's got about 80 games under his belt at level 4, so he's played a good chunk of men's football, and now it's can he make the jump up to our level. The rest will be very much down to him. Because he will be given an opportunity most likely. So we'll see how he does. But fair play to him. He's worked really hard this pre-season. I'd still like to see him even fitter than he is, because he's, in comparison to some of the others, he's still off of it. But that's because we've worked with some of them others for a couple of years, and they've worked closely with Mark for a couple of years, so their condition is premium. But Imran's working towards that, and we're really pleased with him.
So yeah, essentially, we've spoken about the players and what's happened this pre-season, and it's all really positive. I'm gonna have the last question though. Are you feeling under pressure? Because we have got the same squad as last year. We've added some really good players. Does that give you personally? Does that make you feel under pressure, or are you looking forward to that challenge?
Seb, any manager that doesn't work under pressure, for me, would find themselves in a position of not being self-motivated. I think, pressure brings motivation within. I think we all should work with a certain amount of pressure. We all want to be successful. We all want to bring, we all want to achieve, and we all want to bring success to the football club. And it's no different with myself. You can see the demands I put on myself, the demands I put on my management team. We work, as hard as any management team could work at this level. You've seen it firsthand. I think the the fine details that we go to with the players and the professional environment we give them to. That takes time, Seb. I do it in a part-time basis, and so do my management team. But it's most of the players will tell you it's as professional as they will find. We have players come in from professional clubs and full-time clubs, and they say it's not as structured and as detailed and professional as they find with us. So that's credit to us, and that's the pressure we put ourselves under. We're aiming for perfection. One of the pictures we have up on the wall, and I think even in our management WhatsApp group, we aim for perfection, Seb, and if we get excellence as the fall off, then we're going to achieve and we're going to be successful. I thrive under pressure. I want that pressure. I want that that fear of not winning on a Saturday afternoon. I want to I embrace that, and it's something that drives me on. I'm desperate to be successful with this football club next season in what capacity that is, be it playoffs, be it promotion, be it cup runs, be it whatever it be. I want to be as successful as I possibly can for the fantastic fans that are being punished at the moment due to this virus and such, like being kept away from their beloved clubs, and they're the heart and soul of this football club. And we as a management team and as a group of players, we have a set of responsibilities to try and do everything we can that when they are back and they are through the turnstiles, we're as high up the league as we possibly can be, and we're in a position where they can embrace the ride that we're on, and hopefully it's a really good one, Seb.
Yeah, and Gary, we've obviously spoken about it a few times, and it's made a difference with the players that have come in. Certainly helped anyway. But talking about that ride and journey, you can all the fans that are listening to this, if they won't be able to as it stands at the moment, they're probably not going to be likely to attend home games or certainly league games at the moment, but they can join that ride and be on that ride either by buying a season ticket or the McCanns 12-man fund. Yep,
we're still pushing it, Seb. It's we've in the last couple of weeks we've maybe been it's not been as much in your face, but we're still looking to improve. We're still looking to do everything we can as a changing room to support the budget. It's tough times for the football club. We know that. Every supporter can play its part in supporting the budget, because as I've said it on numerous occasions, anything that's contributed to that 12th man fund goes over and above the budget that's been agreed with the football club, and that's the assurances we have of the board, and and it was a real good positive 2 or 3 weeks, and if we can have another good positive 2 or 3 weeks, then who knows where it takes us. It could again just make that that difference to getting another good quality player over the line to add to this fantastic group of players that we've assembled. And as I say, I'm really proud of this group of players we've assembled, but we're always looking for improvement. We're always looking for more. I'd like to think we'll be able to stream the game, Seb, if they can't come. So we're hoping that we'll be able to engage in the fans through that streaming service. And, we'll try and make sure there's as many interviews and as many discussions, maybe, more detailed discussions after the game in terms of tactics, in terms of opposition, in terms of different aspects, instead of just the quick 2 minutes, after games. I think it would be very important for the fans to be able to, to feel part of that even from afar, and we'll do everything we can to make that possible. But if you can contribute to that 12th man fund, please do so.
Right. Right, that was great, Gary. Thanks very much. And if you can't quite commit at this stage, especially at these times, to a monthly payment, there are options to do one-off payments, and people have done that with season tickets. So fully appreciate everything that people have done on that front. But I'm even more excited for the new season, and I hope you guys are too. And thanks very much, Gary.
You're most welcome. I hope to see you all soon, and we'll do everything we can to make it a real positive return for you as soon as it can be.